More first round action brought to you by Ghostcast, coming to you live from the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Georgia, where tonight the Brigham Young Cougars, a 6 seed in the first round, will take on, I can't read my writing. I know it is the Indiana Hoosiers for sure, the Indiana Hoosiers. They are an 11 seed coming from the Big Ten. And what a matchup this is. Certainly Indiana, a storied program with their list of national championships going all the way back to the 40s and 50s and then a couple of them in the 80s with Isaiah Thomas and Keith Smart under the helm of one Bobby Knight. And of course the Brigham Young University Cougars. What a blast this will be. Round one action, 11 seed and a 6 seed, BYU in the white. And they'll be going from right to left against the Indiana Hoosiers. Hoosiers in their typical red. Indiana 20-12 on the year. BYU 24-8. And they've won 18 of their final 22. For the Cougars, number 25, Gavin Baxter handles out front. Goes down low. That's TJ Hawes. Left-hand hook, no good. And the Indiana Hoosiers will come back the other way. Indiana only a 9-11 in conference. They started 11-1. And then they lost 7 of the next 11. And a lot of people thought there's no way they're going to make the tournament. But here they are. They finished 5-4 in their final 9. And they get the first bucket of the ball game as Al Durham gets them on the board. He's a junior guard. Cougars from BYU coming back the other way. Number 30 is TJ Hawes. Does everything great. This is little Alex Barcelo, one of the best three-point shooters in the whole country. Over to Hawes. Hawes will set it up again. Hawes give it over to Baxter. Baxter looking now to Barcelo. They have Yoli Childs, who averages 20 a game. Can't get him a touch yet. Barcelo at the foul line. Barcelo with the shot clock winding down. Kick it over here to Hawes. His three ball no good, but the rebound by Childs put it up and in. And the Cougars are on the board. Yoli Childs averages 22 points a game and 9 boards. Jumped into the top 10 all time in BYU scoring. Here's Al Durham, drive down the middle. His little 4-footer is no good. And the rebound taken by the Cougs. Barcelo bringing it up. He's just a sophomore from Chandler, Arizona. Swinging out front to Baxter. Now to TJ Hawes. This is Jake Toulson. Toulson, a terrific shooter as well. Transferred over from Utah Valley and has had a great year. Baxter continues to handle. This is where the ball needs to be. In the hands of TJ Hawes. Drive down the middle. Left-hand layup to the goal, and he scores. TJ Hawes, the senior, younger brother of one Tyler Hawes, who's the number 1 scorer in the history of all of Brigham Young basketball. Even more points than Jimmer Fredette. I think Jimmer even played one more game than Tyler Hawes. Here's a steal by the Cougars. They lead it 4-2. Coming the other way. Baxter with it. Baxter's the sophomore out of Provo, Utah. Terrific, long-limbed, athletic young kid. Baxter, drive the middle, kick it out. Hawes with it. Again to Baxter on the wing. Lots of movement. Down low to Toulson. 5-footer good. Toulson can really shoot it, folks. 15.2 points per game this year as a senior. And shot at 48% from deep. It is BYU by 4, 6-2. BYU's only had 4 losses since the beginning of December. They lost at St. Mary's, they lost at Gonzaga, lost at San Francisco, and then lost to St. Mary's in the semifinal of the conference tournament before things shut down. Toulson down low. Kick it out front to Barcelo. You got to guard him. TJ Hawes, you got to guard him. They can really shoot. Here is Barcelo, wide open 3. They proved me right. Barcelo shooting 49% from deep. And even though he's only made 3 of his last 10 threes, he had made 19 of his previous 31 for a 61% clip. And here come the BYU Cougar cheerleaders to address. That's not Bobby Knight right there. Come on. Well, that's Archie Miller. He's the head coach. Archie Miller, the brother of Sean Miller, the head coach of Arizona, also in first round action today. So the Hoosiers get it together. Don't like what they've seen so far. As BYU just a little less than 4 minutes into it, already lead it 9-2. Here's Indiana. That's Justin Smith. Where's number 50? Durham is number 1. Smith, swing it over here to Al Durham. Durham drive the base, guarded by the much taller Baxter. Now they get it to Phineas in the paint. He's been there forever. Durham in the lane will drive down. Wild contested shot, but he gets it to go. Their second field goal of the ball game. And Al Durham, who averages about 10 points a game, the junior from Bloomington, Indiana, gets the bucket to go. I don't know why Baxter's handling, but maybe Coach Mark Pope decides with a bigger guy up top, they can see the floor better, kind of like a tall QB. Baxter in the post. I sure hope he doesn't shoot it. He's faked it now 5 times. Double team. Still faking. I think somebody's controller is stuck. Baxter, 7 fakes. Down low. He does shoot it and miss. That's just a terrible shot. I'd get him out of the game right now. I don't care if he is from Provo, Utah, and played for one Kevin Santiago at Timpview High School. Let's go. Get him out. Indiana. Maybe the most literate basketball state in the whole nation. Just a whole bevy of connoisseurs in every Indiana field house that I've ever played in. 9-4. The Hoosiers are down. There's a beautiful inbound pass. Down low has it. This is number 1. This is Al Durham in the post. 6-footer off the backboard. No good. I thought it was going to go in. And the rebound taken by TJ Hawes. He'll bring it the other way. Hawes, a little behind the back dribble. Little fancy flare. Give it out front. Down low to Child. He's double teamed, so he kicks it out to Barcelo. Barcelo out to Hawes. Baxter calling for it in the corner. They do give it to him after that terrible possession last time. Back to Hawes. A jump pass to Childs. He can shoot from there. Hawes and Childs just playing catch. Back and forth they go. Now another jump pass. Shot clock winding down. Baxter to Toulson. He can shoot from there. Good. And Jake Toulson, who knocks down 15 points a game. Basically, the Cougars make 10.5 threes a game. And they shoot it at the number 1 best clip in the entire nation. 42.3%. Matter of fact, McNeese State is next, and they're less than 40%. Phineas for 3 himself, and he knocks it down. That's the sophomore from Indianapolis, Indiana. He averages only 7 points a game. Basically runs the show most of the time, but that time knocking down a jumper. So the Cougs still lead it 12-7. They're in the white with the blue trim. Beautiful drive down low. That's Hawes again. If you look at TJ Hawes, you say, what is he good at? Well, he's good at everything, folks. He gets his hand on balls. He can pass. He can rebound. He can shoot. He can run the show. He's a good foul shooter, a decent three-point shooter at 37%, and basically a senior with good size. Here's a drive in. Durham with another bucket. So Al Durham, who had 17 against Michigan, his best game of the year, and made 7 of his last 12 threes, keeping Indiana close, down by 5. Toulson, who's had a couple of buckets, drive down the middle, left-hand runner, hangs on the rim, but no. And the rebound by the Indiana guards, taken by Phineas, gives to Durham. Durham guarded by the much longer and bigger Baxter. Indiana now on the wing. This is the freshman, Tracy Jackson Davis. He leads them in scoring, believe it or not, at 13.5 a game. His first touch of the game, he has it on the wing, normally operates in the post. This is Durham again. His jumper is good. Looked like Steve Alford from back in 1986 or 87 hitting that jumper. Low trajectory, but nothing but the bottom. 14-11, 2:53 to go in the first. The Cougars, their first tournament appearance since the Jimmer days. Here's TJ Hawes going back door. Doesn't get the bucket, but I think he's fouled on the play. BYU shooting 60%. Indiana shooting better. No, they called an offensive foul on TJ. He won't be happy with that. Mark Pope, roaming the sidelines, is really upset. I can't believe Coach Pope has grown his hair out. I didn't know what it looked like. He's worn the head shaved all season long. Indiana with a couple of subs. They usually bring in shooters, and that's exactly what happened. Number 30 checks into the ballgame, knocks down his first look and his first touch. It's a 3-ball, and we're knotted at 14. There's big Colby Lee into the ballgame. He's a sophomore from Meridian, Idaho. Connor Harding in the game. They kick it to Barcelo, who knocks down another three. I told you they're a good three-point shooting team. And yes, they are. BYU back out in front, 17-14. 2:10 to go in the first. This is round one action brought to you by Ghostcast. With the Cougars and the Hoosiers. Two storied programs who have never met, believe it or not. Of course, Indiana has some championships back in the day. Here's Hawes, drive the length of the floor, put it up and thought he was fouled, but he wasn't, and the bucket no good. Indiana wins titles in like 1941 and 53. And BYU wins titles, NIT title in 51 and 66. Back then, it was thought to be the better of the two tournaments or the more celebrated. So BYU's two titles back in 51 and 66, the equivalent of what would be a national championship. It's just not thought of as the NIT has kind of deteriorated over time and the NCAA has become the bigger event. Colby Lee with it. Kick it outside to Connor Harding. Typically wears 44, but tonight 34. BYU making mass substitutions. 5 players on the floor. I don't even know 4 of them. I think this is number 1. His name is Greg Wrubell. That shot is missed inside. Wrubell, normally the team's play-by-play man, has checked into the ball game. For some reason, they've given him some eligibility left. And down low to Indiana, number 40, looks like Calbert Chaney from days gone by, and that bucket is good. So Indiana within 1 in the final minute of the first half. So BYU down low. This must be Zach Celia, such an aggressive player from Bountiful, Utah. Come on, Zach, shoot it. Oh, he traveled, got away with it. Kick it outside. Here's a shot put up and in. Nice shot by the BYU player. Maybe that was Zach Celius. Maybe it was Greg Wrubell. Maybe it was Mark Durant who's put on the shoes. 20 seconds to go and a steal by BYU. No, Indiana retains. Wouldn't that be something if they were now giving announcers back their eligibility? Here's Indiana on a drive to the goal and a flush. Devontae Green out of nowhere. Maybe that game against Iowa really did him some good. Gonna beat the buzzer is BYU. Good if it goes, it goes! They gotta count that bucket. That was huge. At the buzzer, Coach Pope is thrilled out of his mind. I think it's a 3 and a 1 and a chance for a 4-point play. What a shot. The free throw up and good. That's a huge play at the end of the half, and that'll do it. Oh, Indiana throws in a shot. Don't tell me that went in. You can never tell on Ghostcast and the simulated college basketball invitational. But BYU throws in a 4-point play and then Indiana a half-court buzzer beater. That brings us to the first half, 23-18 the Cougs. They are the higher-seeded team, the 6th seed. They didn't start out so well in Mark Pope's first year at the helm after 9 years of Dave Rose. Of course, Dave Rose, the coach at BYU, was an assistant there for many years before. He was also a head coach down at Dixie and a player. He played for the Phi Slamma Jamma University of Houston Cougars. So he's kind of remained with the Cougars his whole time. But Mark Pope has taken over, and the Cougars started 6-4 early, but as I told you, won 18 of the final 22 and lost at the buzzer in their last game against St. Mary's. They'd won 9 in a row. So they were darn near riding a 10-game win streak coming into the tournament. Indiana here, that was the freshman, Jackson Davis, down low to Justin Smith. Oh, he just bowls over Toulson, turn and score. Toulson tried to draw a charge, and it didn't happen, and Smith gets the bucket, and the Hoosiers are within 3. Baxter continues to handle the rock out front. He's at 6'9". Over here to Barcelo, 3-point marksman. Baxter, the athlete. Barcelo, give it down low to Hawes, turn and shoot and score. TJ Hawes having a terrific ball game. Came in having only made 3 of his last 15 threes. You'd say ice cold, but folks, he was 19 of his previous 38. Put it all together, he's about a 38% shooter, so it's all good. Number 10 is Devontae Green for Indiana. Indiana drive down to Justin Smith. His turnaround jumper is good again. So Justin Smith, not only a putback, but now a quick bucket. He's got 4 quick in the second half. And the Indiana pulls to within 3. First round action. If you're just joining us on Ghostcast and the National College Basketball Championship. Best seed and lowest seed for BYU since way back in 1987-88, when a Michael Smith and Jeff Chapman-led BYU Cougar team were the 4 seed and took on a 13 seed North Carolina Charlotte team, which they defeated. And then they played Louisville in the next round. Louisville was like an 11 seed that had beaten a 6 seed. And Louisville had 7 professional players on that team. And despite BYU going up 13-2 in that ball game, Louisville able to win that ball game and advance to the Sweet 16. There's another turnaround jumper. How well is TJ Hawes playing? His dad, Marty, a former point guard at BYU and a state 100-meter champion and all-state wide receiver, would be thrilled. And, of course, his older brother, Tyler, the leading scorer in BYU history, would be thrilled out of his mind. Phineas with the ball, kick it out. Over here on the left side to Al Durham. Durham back to Phineas, pull up and shoot, in and out, but Justin Smith is everywhere and puts it back up and in. So somehow the Hoosiers are staying close. Somewhere the 79-year-old Bobby Knight is smiling as he watches on Instagram Live this version of the Ghostcast first round of the tournament. I understand Bobby Knight's health not so great. We wish him well. Barcelo, right wing. Give it over here to Baxter. Baxter looking for Toulson in the post. Baxter now swings it. That's a bad pass by Baxter. He shouldn't be handling the ball out there. And the freshman, Jackson Davis, coming up this way. He kicks it to Justin Smith. He's got the hot hand. Tracy Jackson Davis, freshman, quiet in this ball game, but leads him in scoring. Swing it over here to Devontae Green. Green, like a running jump pass. Where are we playing? In Italy? Here's Al Durham down the middle. Won't shoot it. Throw it away. The Cougars coming back. TJ Hawes with it. Hawes, spin dribble, pull up a 3. Shoot, no good. And a rebound taken by Phineas. Phineas will come back the other way. The backcourt for Indiana, really 3 guys. Phineas, Durham, and Devontae Green. You got a couple of bigs. One is this guy, Justin Smith. There's Finnessy. My broadcast partner's been calling him Phineas the entire game. But really it's Finnessy down low in the paint. Is he there too long? Turn and shoot. Needs a bounce, won't get it. And a rebound taken by the Cougars. They kick it out. Hawes with it. Hawes into the front court. They lead it by 3. Both teams have gone cold here in the final 3 minutes. A near takeaway by Indiana. Barcelo to Childs, their leading scorer, barely touched the ball tonight. And he gives it up. Come on, Yoli, go to work. Here's TJ Hawes, turn and shoot and score. Maybe it's TJ Hawes' day. He's the senior from Alpine, Utah. Went to the famed Lone Peak High School. Played with the Emery brothers and his own brother and Eric Minka and tons of players. Frank Jackson, all sorts of great players. Maybe Frank Jackson played at Pleasant Grove. I live in California, not in Utah. Indiana with it. BYU by 5. Devontae Green. Swing it over here to Jackson Davis. And number 3, Finnessy in the paint. Lay it up and in. Finnessy like a point guard, playing like a stud inside. He leads them in scoring. He's supposed to be running the show. Archie Miller just saying, okay, whatever we got, as long as we can stay within 3. Bad pass again by Baxter. Indiana going the other way. His 3rd turnover of the ball game. Devontae Green with it. See if Indiana gets in their flex offense against BYU's man-to-man. Jackson Davis. There's a wild turnaround jumper by Al Durham that goes. I told you he'd made 7 of his last 12 threes, and that one more difficult than any one of them. And we are all square at 29. Very much a basketball score. If it were 28 all, it'd be a football score. Hawes pull up from 3, and he hits again. TJ Hawes is on fire. Had that great all-around game against Gonzaga, had 28 against Santa Clara to go with 9 assists. That was only 4 ago. And BYU up by 2, I guess a foot on the line. Devontae Green with 4 minutes to play. Justin Smith swinging over here to the freshman. Tracy Jackson Davis leads him in scoring. He thought Durham was going to the bull. It was zigging and zagging. And BYU will take it over on the steal. Aaron Andrews has a report from the sideline talking about the transformation of Mark Pope having his head shaved the entire year to all of a sudden, in no time at all, having the Ghostcast tournament begin, and he's got a full head of hair. Like, incredible. Full mane of hair. Here's a bucket and a goal. Finally, they get the ball to Yoli Childs. Aaron will have more on that report later. I don't know the secret from Mark Pope, but I know there's many BYU students who want to know how he's done it. Yoli Child's first bucket of the ball game. Averaging 22 and 9. He's been over 20 11 times this year. And really finished averaging 28 a game the last 4. Gets on the board. Full court pressure by BYU and a steal. They lead it by 5. So not just the bucket by Hawes, but the three-point conventional play by Childs. And all of a sudden, the Cougars, with 3:20 to go, have a 5-point edge. Barcelo holding it in the corner, almost insisting to go baseline. Don't you know that you're not supposed to go baseline? Baseline against good defensive teams is like eating 2 fast food hamburgers, right? It looks good when you eat the first one, but by the time you eat the second one, you're like, what did I just eat? Hawes for 3, no good. And a rebound taken inside by big Colby Lee. Normally wears number 40, but tonight they gave him uniform 54. I think his uniform 40 was stolen by some of the BYU faithful, some of the BYU Betties. But he wears 54 and gets a huge putback, 36-29. BYU with another takeover. Coach Pope is thrilled. I love the new mane for him. Barcelo, top of the key. Just dribbling back and forth. In the corner. Over to Rebel, now to Colby Lee, 6-foot turnaround, not good. But the rebound by Childs, put it up and in. Yoli Childs coming to life when he needs it most. The senior from South Jordan, Utah. This is primarily a senior team. Hawes a senior, Toulson a senior, Childs a senior. They're 3 big 3, only Barcelo a sophomore. And Indiana will take a timeout. As we take a look at the BYU dance team, their very modest uniforms. And the Cougar faithful singing their Cougar theme song, Rise and Shout. And the Indiana Hoosiers talking it over. I still don't know how they're doing all these games from the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Georgia. It's unbelievable how they packed in all these people and scheduled all these games back to back to back to back. It's incredible. But we're doing the best we can to bring them to you live. So BYU by 9 with 2:13 to go. That lead, you would think, on a simulated ghostcast broadcast is almost insurmountable. Indiana goes down low to one of their big boys. Big country boy from Indiana's checked in. This is the freshman, Jackson Davis. He can't get anything going. 10 on the clock. They're down 9. Down low to Uwe Blab, who played in the late 70s and early 80s for Indiana. His turnaround jumper no good. And a rebound taken by TJ Hawes. Kick it ahead to their play-by-play man, Greg Rebel. To Baxter, to Barcelo, to Colby Lee. I think this is Mark Durant. Resurrected. Maybe it's Lee Camard. Kick to the open shooter. Is that TJ Hawes? Of course it is. And he knocks down another one. BYU's now up 12 with 1:20 to go. This one is over, folks. The Cougars are going to advance to the second round. They haven't done that in a long, long time, since Jimmer Fredette's team, and before that, Michael Smith's team. Here's a Cougar steal. Kick it ahead to Colby Lee, the sophomore from Meridian, Idaho. Throws it up over his head, and it's good. BYU extending their lead. They are going to play Seton Hall on Saturday, who beat Eastern Washington. More steals for the Cougs. Give it to Yoli Childs, a foul by Indiana, and you just got to believe this one is over. They're bringing in more subs. They want everybody to play in this game, and why not? Another foul by Finney. Coach Archie Miller not happy. Even though they're down 14 in 50 seconds, they're going to continue to foul, put the Cougars at the line. Here's the great irony of all. BYU, who is the third best shooting team in the country, at 50% from the field. The first best shooting team from the three-point line at 42.5 is one of the worst or most mediocre foul shooting teams in the entire country. Go figure. They don't have anybody close to 90. Only Barcelo's in the 80s. And someone like Yoli Childs is at 53%. That makes no sense. Indiana continues to foul. BYU is going to win this game. They bring it into the aforementioned play-by-play man, Greg Rebel. Greg Rebel, one of the great voices in our day. given some eligibility back and decided to play a little basketball. There's a rare sub in the ball game in the corner with the ball. That's Alema Harrington. Alema Harrington used to play fullback for the Cougs and then went on to a storied career as a KSL anchor in Salt Lake City, but apparently been given some eligibility back. Kobe Lee pulls it up. He won't get it. Indiana finally gets a shot. 15 seconds to go. We come back the other way. Who else has checked into the game? I think that's Jim McMahon. How the heck did he get eligibility left? Maybe all of your eligibility in one sport doesn't expire your eligibility in the next. Is that Ty Detmer with the ball? Anyway, it's over. Yes, jubilation and celebration for the Cougs. They moved to 25-8. They dominated this ball game from the outset over the 11th-seeded Indiana Hoosiers. Players shaking hands. Childs came to life late. Toulson had some buckets early. But quite frankly, the star of the game for the BYU Cougars was TJ Hawes, the senior from Alpine, Utah. He's already had 2 game winners earlier at the buzzer. And the Cougars will advance to play the Seton Hall Pirates by beating Indiana 43-31 on your Ghostcast network.